In this episode of the Range Minded Podcast, Gavin Newsom thinks he's got the answer to all of our gun problems with a new proposed amendment. And, we talk a little bit about what's happening right now with the arm race thing. And I have some awesome experiences teaching. And it was a ton of fun. Anyways, that and a little bit more on this episode of the Range Minded Podcast, episode 215. Enjoy. Welcome back to the Range Minded Podcast. As always, it's your humble host, Steve Zimmerman. It has been, I know, another couple weeks since I came out with an episode, and I get it. I know I'm always full of excuses, but I had some good excuses, and we'll get into that. It's okay. But I don't want to dwell on my absence. That's not what I'm here to talk about. But I will justify my absence, and I'll just do that right now. I was actually in Boise. I was teaching an enhanced class last Saturday. I was busy. I did not have time to pop out and record an episode for you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for trying to increase my education and my abilities in teaching, plus spreading the gospel of the Second Amendment to others. Just kidding. I will never apologize for that because I believe in the Second Amendment, and you're just going to have to deal with it like a big kid. It has been a busy, honestly, 2 weekends. Usually, we used to try and record on Thursdays. That has become nigh impossible. So then I've been trying to bump it to either Fridays or Saturday nights. And even those are getting to be tough. In fact, as I'm recording this right now, it is Saturday night at 11:30 p.m. because that has been my only time to get on and share a few things, share a few thoughts. So I don't apologize for my hard work. I'm doing the best that I can with what I have. Now, that being said, let's talk about real quick about that class and some others that have popped up, which have been fantastic. So, yeah, I still go to Independence and teach as often as they schedule me. It just so happens that there was one this past weekend. And enhanced class, Idaho, we talked about Idaho having 2 levels of concealed carry permit. It was an enhanced class, so, it is accompanied by an attorney that speaks on the legal side of use of force. And then 6 hours of total instruction, and then another 2 hours of range instruction. And normally I don't get out on the range and help the shooters out, but I did this time, which was fantastic. It was always fun to see the light bulb turn on students. And with this last class, it seemed like that all of them had shot before. But it's inevitable once in a while in one of these classes. You get a student that has shot either not at all or very, very little. And I think we've talked about this before too. I love those students. Those are my favorite students. Even the ones that are a touch apprehensive about the firearm. Those are my favorite kind of students because they are teachable. Once we get past that initial fear of having a controlled explosion in your hands, once we get past this fear of years of indoctrination from the media about how scary and dangerous guns just are, and get to the point where we can teach and learn together, that is my favorite student. Because I can see the light bulb turn on, and I can see them begin to understand why we carry firearms, why we choose to use them recreationally, and why the Second Amendment exists. I see them make a change of heart almost. And it's my favorite part of the class when I see that happen. So, unfortunately, like I said, this class, it was really small. Usually we have about 28 students in these classes. In this particular class, we had 13, 11, 13, somewhere around there. Just barely into the double digits. And I honestly, I don't enjoy teaching classes that small as much. I'm gonna put that caveat in there. I still enjoy teaching. I could be one student. I'll still teach the class. But I do like a few more people in the class because I love the conversation. I love when I teach a class, a concealed carry class or any kind of class for that matter. I love having conversations because that's I think once the class has a conversation, then we all learn together. The students realize, oh, I was thinking that same thing, but I was too scared to ask. Thanks for bringing that up. It happens. And those are my favorite classes to teach. That's why I love there's getting some student interaction in the classes. Because I get feedback too. Then I can see, oh man, I'm really boring as a teacher, or I need to speed things up. It's easier for me to read the class as well if there's more people. Excuse me. Oh man, I'm tired. There's a reason why I'm tired. Okay, so that was what I did Saturday. Now, if you probably have heard by now, maybe you're not, I don't know. Nick, the other half of the podcast, Hoftech Holsters, Hoftech Industries, you name it. He does a whole bunch of stuff. He's been kind of stressed out the last few weeks. There's a lot of stuff going on right now between the new holster line and just everything else. There's just been so much stuff going on. And to add on top of the stress, his dad passed away. So he's been having, and he won't tell you. He'll just keep going on like nothing has changed. But having lost my dad, I kind of know. I know the drill. I know the gig. I know why he's been so busy, because it keeps our mind off things. So like I said, on top of that, he lost his dad in an accident. It was pretty rough. We had a conversation a couple days after it happened, and it was probably tougher for me, honestly. I don't know. I'd never met Darren, but knowing Nick, Darren was a pretty solid guy. And that Sunday after the class, there was a benefit thing where a lot of his friends were there. We did a live auction to kind of offset some of the costs and everything. And I was just going to go just to support Nick, but he ended up needing my help. What actually, that made me feel better too, honestly. I'm not going to lie. Being able to help him out and help out his family in this time of craziness. Like I said, I had a chance to help out. I got to hang out with, oh my goodness. Well, Nick and a bunch of other people. It was great. Sorry, my brain is not working right now. I'm distracted by something else is going on at the same time. Anyway, it was a really good time. It was a little crazy. Some of those people were a little rough. That was in a biker bar. Nick's dad was part of a motorcycle club, but he was also he was really involved with folks trying to change their lives. He was like an addiction counselor to help people, get over drug and alcohol addiction. He was a very good man, and he had a lot of friends, and it was cool. It was cool to be there to help Nick out. So there you go. There's why I didn't get a show last week, because I was busy. I was busy helping out a friend. So if you're gonna fault me for that, so be it. But I'm not too worried about it, because we're all friends, and I think a lot of you guys would have done the exact same thing, because that's what friends do, right? Okay, let's move out of that part. Hopefully that, I didn't want to be dark with it. That actually isn't a sad, somber thing. That should be a good mood thing, okay? I want you guys to understand that. And it's not an excuse for me to not get a show out. But it's important. There's something there that I want you to hear again. It's important to set things aside when your friends need you, okay? irregardless of what it is. If you have the ability to help in some way, even if it's time, even if it's a phone call, you need to be there for your friends. Okay. All right. let's talk a little bit about, there's been a lot of things happen in the last 2 weeks since we've talked last. A lot. I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. This may not be a real long show, but I think there's some important stuff in there. Okay. And then we'll come back. If I can remember, I had some other good experiences with teaching, and I have some other experiences with teaching coming up that I'm excited to share with you, because there's some good stuff that's come out of that as well. Okay, let's start with this. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention the last little while. Now this we'll get to the pistol brace thing because there's some updates on that. We'll get to that in a second. That's not what I was going to talk about first. But many of us know and love the great state of California. Now, California, in reality, is a beautiful state. You got the coast. You could be skiing and surfing on the same day in California. It used to be, San Francisco used to be one of the cleanest cities in the nation. You got some amazing beaches. You got Disneyland. Knott's Berry Farm. I don't even know if that place exists anymore. You go up north. I mean, that whole Pacific Coast Highway all the way up. I mean, it's beautiful, right? It's a beautiful state. But it's a pity that it's run by a buffoon. I don't know if you paid attention. If you're living under a rock, people are leaving California in droves because the ideology of the representation in that state. It's crazy. I mean, it doesn't take long to just get on any social media and look at homelessness in California. It is rampant. It is sad to see. I don't know if I have the answers to stop homelessness. I imagine that there's a lot of those people, that maybe there's a home that could be built for some of those folks that have some major mental problems. There's some treatment there that could help out. Some of them, I think maybe they're just lazy. I don't know. I don't want to stereotype. I know that's not very Christian to do, but I think there might be some apathy or some laziness in some of those folks too. It might be a really small percent. Might just be one of those people from the whole state. I don't know. I don't have the answer to cure homelessness. I don't. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But I do know that over the last few years under Gavin Newsom, that homelessness is skyrocketed. That income from taxes for businesses has dropped. I mean, think about it. There have been major taxpayers that have taken their businesses and left California, right? You got Tesla. I mean, Joe Rogan, worth what, $2 billion or whatever it is now, like, or 200 million, whatever it is, bounced because Gavin's screwing up the state. That whole state is messed up. And to top it off, their laws of self-defense are messed up. Right? You can only have certain guns that are on the registry, a few number of handguns that you're approved to buy, and that number shrinks every year because for every one gun that gets added, 2 have to come off that list. And the criteria for a new gun to be added is asinine. Like with technology that doesn't really exist, it's a fairy tale. And so the ability of good Californians, people that have been there for generations, their families have been there for generations, are being either pushed out or repressed. Their rights really are being repressed because the ideology of the crazy left. And this next part of my comment here proves it. So Gavin Newsom, in his immense brilliance, decided he was going to come up with a new amendment, the 28th Amendment. I can't remember what it's called, what he's calling this amendment. But in this 28th Amendment, it's just full of common sense gun laws that the entire country can agree on. It's just really common sense. I mean, the Second Amendment's great. We're not getting rid of the Second Amendment, but we're just going to restrict it a little bit. Notice that they're not talking about doing that with the First Amendment yet. Well, that's not true, honestly. I mean, what did they tell us about worship over the pandemic? We weren't allowed to go to church, right? So maybe it's already happened that way. We're just too dumb to see it. Anyway, the 28th Amendment. So inside this 28th Amendment, there's red flag laws, right? Because everybody knows that if you're dangerous, you don't need a gun. Okay? Because it works every time. And that would never be abused by a crazy girlfriend or ex-wife. There is also a mandatory waiting period, right? Because we know bad guys only go to the gun shops to... now, this is nationwide too, right? This is not just California. All these laws already exist in California, and we can see what a pillar of safety that is in that state. So we need to adopt these laws, across the country. Anyway, so a waiting period, right? A mandatory waiting period for every firearm purchase. When I say every, I mean every purchase. Because we're also going to include universal background checks in there, which is a pseudo gun registry. So we have this waiting period where, whatever it is, 10 days, it's a cool down period, because we know every mass shooter wants to buy a gun and immediately go shoot up a mall. But dang it, that if I just had 10 days to cool down, I wouldn't have done it. Said no mass murder ever. I guess I haven't interviewed him, so that's a pretty bold statement, right? So yeah, waiting period, universal background check. Again, that's just a pseudo gun registry, because once they know where every gun goes, they know who has every gun. Okay, is that clear? They're going to monitor every firearms transaction, not just dealer to dealer or dealer to new gun buyer. Every firearms transaction. You will be federally required to go to a gun dealer and do the paperwork if you're going to give your gun to your son-in-law so he can borrow it to go hunting. And then when he wants to give it back to you, your own gun, you will have to go to the dealer and fill out the paperwork and wait your mandatory waiting period. You see a problem here yet? I mean, is it clicking yet? Okay. Oh, yeah, don't worry. There's more. Because everybody knows in the whole country, everybody wants these banned. Military-style assault weapons. Because they're the only bad guns. He wants to make a mandatory assault weapons ban. Now, you think that they're just talking about AR-15s? If you do, you're a fool, because we've talked about that national assault weapons ban. That's anything semi-automatic that can take a magazine. Okay? A detachable magazine. Any firearm that can take a detachable magazine that is semi-automatic. Is your Glock a semi-automatic handgun? What about your Springfield? Maybe your Smith & Wesson? If you've bought any modern handgun other than revolvers, any modern semi-automatic handgun would be considered an assault weapon. You don't have to believe me. Look up the assault weapons ban that they tried to publish last year. Look it up. You don't have to believe me. Read the law. I did. I read the bill. Anything that takes a detachable magazine over 10 rounds and fires semi-automatically is considered an assault weapon. We're talking about hundreds of millions of guns. But wait, there's more. with this 28th Amendment, it also provides states to enact stricter than federal gun laws. Okay, let that sink in again. There's no preemption. Okay. The states are allowed to do whatever they want at a higher level. That means Illinois, Louisiana, California, Ohio, they'll look at this as a minimum, and then they can boost up their laws to be more strict. So they can do whatever they want as long as they don't increase the freedom of their constituents, their residents in that state. So how real is this? Is this going to really happen? Is it possible for Mussolini to enact this or create this 28th Amendment out of whole cloth? Probably not very likely. So it's going to take 2/3 of Congress, both, the House and the Senate. 2/3 have to agree that, yeah, this makes sense and we need to let this happen. So he already doesn't have those numbers. Okay, not going to happen. But if by chance he does get this, that 2/3, then he has to have 3/4 of the states to agree that the 28th Amendment makes sense. I don't know if you've paid attention with what kind of gun freedoms have been flowing through the United States the last year, but there have been so many states that have made pro-2A gun laws constitutional carry. We'll get to the pistol brace thing too. There's states that are like, we need to open up and actually understand, because Bruin and Heller said, hey, you have to make these cases whenever you have any kind of case depending on or regarding firearms. You have to go back to history, right? History and tradition. You have to look at the original context of the Second Amendment. And so suddenly we're seeing at a district level, there's a lot of things changing, which means that there are far more people that understand the Second Amendment, including judges, that are sometimes it feels that way, that are ruling that the Second Amendment is important. And there's a lot of this pro-2A stuff happening. So he's not going to get 3/4 of the states. He's not going to get 2/3 of Congress. He's not. What is he doing? He's fundraising. He's trying to earn money so he can run for president. He'd be an awful president. And if you think he's a great dude, nah. You're going to hear a lot that if you watch his video, he'll say, well, a staggering percentage of Americans want these common sense gun safety laws. The majority of Americans want them. Okay, so do a little research, spend a little bit of time. It doesn't take very long. You will understand that they're citing a poll from Fox News where they called 900 people and surveyed that was their sample size. 900. I don't know where they made these phone calls from, but 900 people out of 300 million, that's not a fair sample. And when you actually talk to people on the street, like John Lovell just posted a video where he talked to people in Atlanta, I believe. Even he was surprised how many pro-2A stuff that he actually got. Listen, we are not in the minority, despite what the left says. We're not in the minority. We're in the majority. It's just that we're either too apathetic or we're too busy working or we don't want to ruffle feathers. We don't make noise. And I get that. Not everybody wants to be front and center, but it's getting to the point where you have to be. You have to be willing to get up front and say, yeah, I'm a firearms owner. I hunt. I target shoot. I'm in pistol competitions. We have to do that. I carry a gun in self-defense. Same thing. That is more important than hunting or any kind of game with a gun. We need to make our voices heard. We need to. Okay? Things are getting tougher. The left is getting more proficient in the lies. And we have to attack it. We have to attack these lies with the same amount of force. Just like you learn in a self-defense class, you meet force with force. You don't exceed that force, but you meet force with the same level of force to stop the threat. We need to stop the threat of our freedoms being lost, because that is exactly, despite what the flowery left will tell you, that is exactly what they want. Us to be subservient, us to be happy with the quid pro quo, or status quo, not quid pro quo, totally wrong. They believe that Americans have too much and we need to share. Yeah, we can share, but that's supposed to be compassionate giving, not forced. So my thoughts on the 28th Amendment, probably not going to go anywhere, but it's going to get a lot of noise, a lot. So just pay attention to that. Are you one of the millions of gun owners in America who choose to carry a firearm as a life-saving tool? Carrying a firearm is a big decision, and it comes with a lot of weight, including the actual weight of the gun itself. The right holster for the job is just as important as your choice to carry. That's exactly why I went to Hoftac Holsters. I was a customer of Hoftac before Nick was ever part of the show. I trust the quality, I trust the customer service, and I know that my gun will fit without fear of it ever falling out. I carry every day, and that just wouldn't be possible without my Hoftac holster. Right now, on every online order, you can save 10% by just simply using the promo code Range Minded at checkout at Hoftac.com. Again, right now, you can save 10% at checkout when you use the promo code, 2 words, Range Minded at Hoftac.com. Check them out, buy something, and use the promo code and save 10%. See, we love you. We want to save you money. All right, welcome back. So another thing I want to talk about, we mentioned a little bit earlier, we talked about the pistol brace. It is in effect now. So it actually took effect June 1st, right? It took effect, potentially causing millions and millions of gun owners, turning them into felons. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a big deal. Now, under Heller, there's a term called common use, meaning guns that are used a lot can't be regulated. And the level that the Supreme Court found in Heller, or defined in Heller, of common use is 200,000 regarding it. That in that particular case, they were talking about tasers, I think. But they specifically said the number 200,000. According to Congress's own investigating, they have found that, or they believe that there were some 40 million, 10 to 40 million, I think is what they said in their report, 10 to 40 million arm braces in the United States. 10 to 40 million. That's a lot. I tend to think that the number's on the high end, towards the 40 million side. But there's a lot of folks that are like, no, that's not possible. There's not that many. I don't know how many there are for sure. Nobody really does. That's a lot. Let's just assume 20 million, just to be safe. Okay, right in the middle. 20 million. That's still more than 200,000, according, I'm no math whiz, but 20 million is still more than 200,000. Anyway, so starting, at the beginning of this month, June 1, millions and millions of gun owners would be potentially turned into felons unless you followed the ATF's criteria on what to do with your pistol brace. Now, I think I think they were trying to, or they were hoping that a lot of people would just register that arm brace with the NFA. Somehow they were able to waive, for lack of a better term that I can't think of right now, waive the $200 tax fee. Now, the ATF has not the ability to waive a tax fee. That is the IRS only has that ability. But somehow the ATF said, yeah, we'll just waive that $200 tax, which again, they can't waive a tax. They're not Congress. They're not the Treasury. Anyway, strange, right? If we'll waive the tax, if you just go ahead and register it as an SBR, you're basically getting a free SBR, and we'll go from there. It'll be fine. At least those, again, if we use the 20 million number, I still think it's closer to 40. Out of those potentially 40 million arm braces out there, they had 250,000 registered in the NFA. 250,000 out of potentially 40 million. If we use the 40 million number, that is 0.0625%. No, not 0.06. My math is off. That is 0.625. Just over 0.5%, not 0.75% of the population of arm braces were registered. We pretty much told them, F you. That means a lot. That means that there are far more gun owners that are saying, no, we are fed up with your trash. We're done being infringed on. We're done being stepped on. No. Screw you guys. So there's some food for thought there on the pistol brace side. But there's more on the pistol brace side. So because there were lots of lawsuits filed in various district courts across the United States, Firearms Policy Coalition, their case in Texas, I can't remember the name of the judge, but he decided to say, hey, we're going to do a preliminary injunction, kind of put a stay on it. So the plaintiffs named in this case are exempt at this point, which is a time frame, indeterminate amount of time. But you're exempt from this pistol brace rule. So FPC went back and they're like, wait a minute. Does that mean like our members are exempt from this? So they wrote a letter seeking some clarification. You know, their attorney wrote a letter. FPC didn't, but their attorney did, asking the judge for some little more clarification on this ruling. And the judge came back and said, yeah, your members are covered. As an organization, I feel like your members are covered. So that's in writing. So I imagine the Firearms Policy Coalition gained a lot of members because they immediately published that information. As soon as they heard back, they went on a rampage between Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And I'm sure they gained a lot of new members, including this one. I did donate to the Firearms Policy Coalition because they're doing the hard work. They're putting their money where their mouth is. They're standing up against tyranny for all of us, not just their members, but all of us. They put their money where their mouth is, and that's expensive. So I donated, and I became a member. So hopefully I am. I fall under this preliminary injunction, like the judge said. Fantastic, and more of those to come. By the way, there was another one. The GOA, their case. It sounds like they had the same type of thing. The judge in that case did a preliminary injunction. Same thing. Their members are covered. There's still one more case in South Dakota, one of the Dakotas. Waiting for the same thing. The judge has been kind of sitting and waiting. I imagine he wants to make sure that his ruling is legal and bulletproof, for lack of a better term. So there's a lot of stuff going on. The fight for the pistol brace is not over. Now there's agencies out there, not agencies, there's other organizations out there that have been a little late to the pity party, and we can probably guess who that might be. Now the NRA, sorry, I just named them by name, right? The NRA is involved financially with the North Dakota case. But why aren't they named as a plaintiff? They didn't want to be named as a plaintiff in that case. Why? I don't know. They could have had the same opportunity or the same impact as GOA and FPC. Can you imagine if the NRA members were covered under a preliminary injunction as a named plaintiff? Millions of gun owners. The NRA still is the largest organization to stand up for gun owners. They're not doing a very good job of it, but they are the largest organization, the oldest civil rights organization in the United States. Why wouldn't they want to be named? It baffles me. All right. Let's talk about some classes that I know we already talked. You're like, Steve, you open about classes, you moron. Yeah, I did. But we're going to talk about something else I had an opportunity to do, and it was so much fun, and I'm trying to figure out a way to do more of these. I had a ton of fun. So I have a friend that's a pretty large electrical contractor. So has several crews out there that wire homes and businesses. He's a pretty large scale contractor, at least for this area, right? Anyway, I was doing some stuff, helping him out with some stuff, and I said, "Hey, let me know when you want to do a corporate class for your employees." And he said, "Oh, okay, yeah, all right, that sounds fun." And honestly, I thought that's as far as it was going to go. But, yeah, he wasn't going to go any deeper than that. I was just going to be like in one ear out the other. I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. So I got to help out at an employee party for him. They have some family property, which is awesome. It's been in their family for generations. A lot of property, a lot. Let's just say the closest neighbor was a long ways away. I doubt we bothered him with gunfire. So I was able to set up and help out with this corporate class. We did some handgun training. We talked a lot about, it really was just a handgun class, but a little bit deeper than what some of the stuff you might get in a concealed weapons class. And then we did some AR work, and then we shot a lot afterwards. He bought a lot of ammo, and we shot a lot. It was so much fun. So after that, this was yesterday. Man, I'm tired. I can't think. Yeah, it was a ton of fun, and I took my youngest daughter with me. She had nothing to do. She really wanted to hang out with me that day, so I was okay. This is what we're doing. She was excited, and I was worried she was gonna not be so excited about it, but she had a ton of fun too. It was a blast. So now my mind is like, okay, what do I do to like, I got to do this many classes in a month to be able to afford a chunk of property with an awesome, mountainside backstop, not in a subdivision or any kind of development. So I cruised around looking for property for sale, trying to find a place that would accommodate that. And I don't know if that's going to happen. But man, would I love to do that. How cool would it be to be able to have a facility where you could cater to a lot of people on a private range, have it catered, and just have a good time. I love teaching so much. I love teaching about firearms so much that I wish I could make something like that happen. I'm going to have to keep going because it could happen, right? If I put my mind to it. I could make it happen. I just got to figure out how many classes I got to teach in a month to make that big mortgage payment. But that would be so rad. It'd be so much fun. Yeah. I mean, why not? Why not? So if you're a business owner or if you want to do some kind of a private group, holler. I think it would be so much fun. I would love to help you guys out. Here's something else that happened. We're just kind of free for all right now. So last week, I was on the Daniel Dukeman. We've had him on the show before. He has his podcast. It's called Freeing Your Mind. And I was a guest on his show, and that was so much fun. So if you want to see me a little bit less 2A sided, you could jump on the Freeing Your Mind podcast by Daniel Dukeman. Good stuff. He's a solid dude. I don't know if you remember him or not. You can jump back a few months and find his episode, listen to him. He's working hard. He's making stuff happen. Trying to help people with PTSD and whatnot. He's a killer dude. And it was fun to be on the interviewed side for once. Anyway, gang, I'm going to go to bed. It is midnight now, and I'm tired. But thank you for taking time listening. I appreciate you guys so much. Like, it's more than you guys understand. It's just good to be able to share some of my thoughts and some of my experiences with you. I know we haven't had a guest on in a very, very long time. Some of that's my fault, just because my schedule is so messed up lately that I'm kind of scared to make a commitment with somebody just to call them and say, hey, by the way, no. So I haven't booked guests in a long time because of that. Just because my time is so messed up right now. But we'll get it figured out. There's some super cool people that I have reached out to that I'd love to get on. We had one guest that would have been so cool. And we're still talking. He just had to go overseas, take care of some stuff. So we just haven't been able to meet up. Hopefully he's going to be back. I can't remember when he said he's going to be done. Anyway, that'll be a cool episode. So stay tuned for that. That will happen. I'm not going to share his name. I want to make sure it happens. I don't want to just like name drop and then never have it happen. But we're working on it. We'll get Nick back on. Not only is I told you he's kind of dealing with some stuff right now in life, but he's also in the middle of moving his shop. So I mean, that dude's super busy. So we'll get caught up with him again. That Omni holster, check it out. Don't forget again that right now you can save 10% on anything off his website. Hoff Tech Industries, you just jump on there and then, don't forget about that. You utilize that, take advantage of it. It's awesome. It's a good deal. Anyways, peace out, guys. I want you guys to be safe. I want you guys to share with your friends how normal it is to be pro Second Amendment. Normal people own and carry guns. Okay? Not just the crazy ones. The crazy ones are the noisiest ones. But we need to let the country know that, no, we're normal. We're not the ones shooting up and causing problems. Okay? Be safe. Love you guys. Don't forget, you guys need to take somebody shooting. We need to propagate the next generation of the Second Amendment. All right. Be safe. Peace out. Hey gang, thanks for listening to this episode of the Range Minded Podcast. We enjoy having you guys here. Plus, if you want to reach out to us on our social medias, we got @Range Minded on Instagram or Facebook or even Twitter now. And we just started a YouTube channel. Well, we started a while ago, but we're actually trying to use it, so you can find us on YouTube as well. If you want to email the show, you can email us at rangeminded@gmail.com. We check that all the time. Anyways, give us a good rating, give us a review, whatever it takes. We'll take whatever level you want to give us, and we'll see you next time on the Range Minded Podcast.